Yesterday we were learning about the routes of the administration, in which there are oral route, then enteral and parenteral routes. So in the enteral route, it is an oral route, and it has got its own advantages and disadvantages. And we have learned about the disadvantage of first pass effect. What is first pass effect? Anybody can explain? First pass effect.
Avoiding,
Yes.
avoiding liver metabolism of drugs.
Yes. That's the first pass effect. Any drug which is administered orally will directly absorb into the circulation and go to the liver, and there it is detoxified. That's how it's known as the first pass effect, or it's also known as hepatobiliary circulation. So that's one of the disadvantage of that particular route. And the advantages are it can be administered very easily, and the patient himself can take. No technicians are required, and the cheap route of the administration, and many more are there. So of course we have also discussed about the intravenous route. So here you can see the intravenous routes. The disadvantage of this intravenous route is special technique is required, some doctors are required, and there may be air embolism, extravascular accumulation, and phlebitis may occur, and many more we have seen. And the trained personnel are required, and the short duration of action, that's one of the disadvantage. So these are all the especially the ear veins, saphenous vein, jugular veins, etc. are the common veins through which the intravenous injections are given. And intramuscular route we are discussing, it is the deposition of the injection in between the layers of the muscles, so that more perforation is there and the drug can be easily absorbed. And next route to the intravenous route is intramuscular, most popular route of the administration, and the disadvantage is fairly rapid absorption of the drugs except oily preparations. Depot means, somebody asked the question about what is a depot preparation means, any drug which is intended to get released slowly, that's known as the depot preparation for a prolonged period. And the disadvantage another is the longer duration of action than IV injection, but usually a little shorter than subcutaneous administration. So this route of administration is in between the subcutaneous administration and intravenous. When compared to intravenous, the absorption is less and the action is more. When compared to the subcutaneous administration, the duration of action is less, but absorption is more. And it's one of the common route of administration in case of the zoo or wild animals. That's what we have discussed. So here the drug is injected deep between the layers of one of large skeletal muscles, because these are richly supplied blood and less, because if it is supplied with nerves, what happens is a lot of pain will occur. Hence, wherever the nerves are not there, the injection is given below the epidermis and dermis, and above the dermis means hypodermic. So this route of is used for providing systemic effects of most of the drug. And this is we have learned about the darting. Most of the wildlife are darted using a special device known as the dart gun, and the injection is given into rump or the back of the animal. Here you can see a jackal or some wild animals. They are darted and the intramuscular injection is being done. The advantage of this route of administration is rapid absorption of the drug in aqueous solution, and even oily suspensions can also be administered. The absorption of the drug is very rapid for oily and depot preparation. Firstly, they are absorbed. The duration of action is longer than the IV injection, but usually a little shorter than subcutaneous. That's the comparison. And mostly suitable route for wild and fractious or anxious animals, and which may be difficult to restrain. So in such animals, this route of administration can be done, because in such animals it is very difficult to administer, locate the vein, and also get the drug administered. So the disadvantages of the intramuscular route. Each route of administration has got its own advantages and disadvantages. So there is no perfect route of administration, and it depends upon the type of the drug, its pH, its chemical properties, its physical properties, patient's compliance, and many more parameters are there. So there is possibility of improper deposition of the drug in the nerve, blood vessels, fat, or connective tissues. So sometimes what happens is if you administer the injection to a non-cooperative animal, then you may not be in the proper site. So at that time, what happens is, there is a chance that the drug may go into an artery, a vein, or a nerve. So at that time, adverse drug reaction may also occur. So this route is not suitable for emergency situations. Already we have learned, because the conditions like cardiovascular collapse or shock may come in the way of absorption of the drugs. So emergency situations, we cannot go for the intramuscular route, whereas we have to go for the intravenous route. And these are all the places in cattle where in the neck muscles. Here, this is a place where the intramuscular injection should be needle. Usually the 18 gauge needle should be used, and here one should be very careful about, especially while using the neck muscles, is there is vertebral columns are there, then they should be avoided. See here, the muscles are not so thick also. So one should take care that only muscular animals. In case of weak animals, it is not better to give the injections at this particular site. And each site has got its own advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of here is, here there are no special nerves, especially in the neck regions. So you can go for the ease of injection, whereas the triceps, this is somehow rare route of the administration, because here we cannot administer voluminous about 20 ml, 30 ml of the injection. So whenever we are using an injection, we should not go for more than 20 ml at a site, because it causes the local damage. If if you give the injection as multiple sites, then the absorption is more, then the pain, etc., which are induced by the drug are less. And the semi-tendinous muscle is present here in this kind of this particular animal. This is also a very common site, but only one thing is here, there are few nerves which are supplying to the limb, they are coming in the way. So sometimes peroneal nerve is the one which may come, and the paralysis may occur. So one should be careful while administering the drug here also. Whereas the gluteal muscles, so yes, especially in case of fat animals, it's one of the best route of administration. But the thing is, here, in case of weak animals, what happens is, if the muscle, the mass is not much, the drug will percolate into the abdominal cavity, because here the big foramen is there. Then through that foramen, needle may pass sometimes, and that may percolate into the abdominal cavity. So one has to take care that the needle is properly in muscle, and you have to withdraw a little so that the blood is not coming from the syringe. That's the important precaution to be taken. And most of the time, these are the very common routes. On the neck muscles and gluteal muscles are the most common, whereas this is the third preference, because in bullocks and the animals which do kick, especially these gear animals and local or deshi animals, they do kick a lot. So it's very dangerous to stand behind this limb and give the injection, because they may give a very good kick. So one should avoid such type of the injections. So these are all the cautions and the sites of the intramuscular injections, especially in case of large animals. Coming to the small animals like dog, this is the tricep muscle, especially in the tricep muscles. You have to hold the needle like this and push. Especially these injections are given to quadriceps muscles also in the hind quarter. So both directions can be used. And semi-membranous or semi-tendinous, especially in the hind leg, it can be given. But one should see that the peroneal nerve, which goes a little deep here, it should not get paralyzed. And so sometimes this some of the dogs do have a lot of muscles in the dorsal lumbar region, and at that time also the big breeds of the dogs. We should not go for the small breeds of the dogs here. Big breeds of the dogs like the like this Labrador Retriever and other animals can be used. We can use this particular route is concerned, and this route is somehow less common, whereas this part, the semi-tendinous or semi-tendinous muscle, administration of the injection to this part of the injection, this is very, very common in case of dogs, followed by the quadriceps muscle, followed by the triceps muscles, and lastly by dorsal lumbar muscles. So you should remember this particular order. And of course, this is the dorsal injection, and here also the semi-tendinous muscle, triceps muscles, and sometimes the neck muscles also the injections are given in case of dogs, but it's more rare. This is this particular backside, especially triceps and quadriceps muscles are very, very common. So you might have heard the, you have to remember why the anatomy is taught to you is to remember all these things. In which muscles we are, which muscles are located in which location. So the quadriceps muscles means you have to think where that muscles are there, because it's actually a strong muscle which is required for the dogs for running and weight bearing purpose. So that muscle is used for the intramuscular injection. So in case of cat also, the intramuscular injection is given like by this manner. Usually one has to restrain the cat properly, then has to give injection. So this is an injection given in case of poultry, especially in the leg muscles. This is this type of the injection is given. Usually in case of poultry, there are very less sites for giving the intramuscular injection. Only the hind leg is the better portion for the hind leg means the legs, especially upper part of the thigh, you can give the injection. And the next route of administration is subcutaneous route. Subcutaneous route of the administration, it's a loose subcutaneous tissue just under the skin. That's known as the subcutaneous, means below the cutaneous route. And sometimes into capillaries and is carried away by the blood stream. So whenever you give the injection below the skin, there will be the membranous capillary membranes are present there, or the capillary beds are present, and then the drug is mixed with the blood and it is absorbed into the circulation. And slow and continuous absorption is required. Here, whenever you give the injection of the subcutaneous injection, then the drug is absorbed slowly compared to the your intramuscular route. And large volume of non-irritating drugs can be given by this subcutaneous route. Large quantity of non-irritating. Irritating drugs should not be administered subcutaneously. Continuous but graded, gradual and slower than the IM sites. So the absorption is continuous. For a long time the absorption takes place in a small quantity and gradual but slower from when compared to the IM route, the absorption is slow. And pellet implantation or depot preparations can be done below the skin. That's also subcutaneous. But there are few disadvantages and not suitable for irritant drugs. Maybe oxytetracycline. It is indicated that it can be administered subcutaneously, but it is an irritant. So the animal feels a lot of discomfort if you give the subcutaneous injection. And on each vial, you have to read it, whether it is recommended for subcutaneous injection or not. They will write IV, IM, SC route or subcutaneous route whenever the drug is indicated from that route. Apart from that route, you should not administer the drug from any other route. That's very important matter. And sometimes severe pain, cellulitis, tissue necrosis, sterile abscess formation will be present. especially so why the sterile abscess is, suppose if you give the injection of oxytetracycline, which is an antibacterial agent, so it is an irritating agent. So, and since it's having the antibacterial property, so no microorganisms will grow. So it causes the tissue debris, etc. Then sterile abscess formation will be there. And this route of administration is not suitable in case of shock conditions or shock states. This is not suitable. If the animal is suffering from coma or severe toxicities or any other situation, suppose there is a toxemia from hemorrhagic septicemia or the toxemia due to black quarters, like that, in such cases, we should not go for the subcutaneous injection. Then either we have, see, it is the route of the choice, especially is number one, it is as directed by the particular manufacturer of the drug, because there the route is always it is written and not suitable in case of shock condition, because most of the times the pharmacological and pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic properties are learned in a proper manner. Then usually this pharmacokinetic pattern will be learned by how much absorption will take place from which route. Then the company will recommend you, which route is better for the absorption. So please follow that route of the administration and don't take your own decision. But if it is indicated for IM, subcutaneous or IV, then it is your choice which route of the administration to be done. Because once again, it depends upon the severity of the case. Suppose it's a acute mastitis, then you have to administer the drug through IV only. Or yes, it's okay and it's a repeated injections and other thing, then you can go for IM, and if you want the drug to be maintained for prolonged period, you can go for subcutaneous injection. Usually, this is the cutaneous tissue. Below that particular cutaneous tissue, then you should squeeze this and catch hold of the skin. Then there will be fold is formed, pierce the needle, and please see that it is below the subcutaneous tissue. Then give the injection. So in case of poultry, vaccination is always done below the cuties, or subcutaneous injections are very common in case of the poultry. Of course, in case of the cattle, the site of injection is here, neck, what you call as the neck space and the ribs. So this is not so commonly used, whereas this neck skin is very commonly used, and the skin is drawn a little bit, then the needle is pierced below the skin, and the needle is withdrawn with the air, and if no mass or anything, blood or etc., they are not coming, then the injection is given. And this is the subcutaneous site in just cat, especially the dorsal this part of the cat should be held in a scaffold manner. Then the needle should be inserted below the skin and the injection should be given. And before giving any injection or administration of any drug, proper restraint method should be used. I think you might have learned in the husbandry courses how to handle a cat, how to handle a cattle, or how to restrain the dog. So you have to adopt all these technologies. Simply don't go by such thing, because many times the animals will give a very good kick, or the cats may sometimes they bite, or they may scratch from their what you call as the nail. So you should take such precautions while you are giving the administration of some of the injections. Then in case of this goat, you can see the subcutaneous tissues can be injection can be given. One is the neck, another one is the especially thoracic mass. That's one of the thing. And IV injections can be given through the jugular vein. That's the most preferable site in most of the large animals. And intramuscular sites also, here once again semitendinous muscles, triceps, muscles are very common, but this muscle is very commonly used for the route. And intramammary is another route of the administration, and through the teeth, the drugs are administered, especially in case of the mastitis, not in any other conditions. Here also you can see in case of a live sheep, this is behind the shoulder or ribs. Here you have to palpate for the ribs, and this is the area where you can give the subcutaneous injection, whereas the intramuscular injections can be given in the quadriceps, cranial to the femur to avoid sciatic nerve. Yeah, that's the apart from this one. Here sciatic will nerve there, and behind peroneal nerves are there. So to avoid both nerves should be avoided and give the intramuscular injection, whereas the intravenous route can be used in case of this sheep and goat. Sheep, especially intramuscular route, need to be given in the neck muscles, and intravenous usually always it is jugular vein. Of course, the animals do have a lot of hairs or the wool, and you have to trim it in a proper manner using a scissor. Then lift the vein by pressing it below thing and apply the spray and get the vein raised and give the injections. That's how the technology goes. Of course, when you come to the clinics, you will learn all these things in practical. So these are the sites in case of, especially in case of intramuscular injections in case of the horses. Yeah, you should know, because if you suddenly go to a stud farm, then if you do not know where to give the injection, because these are very costly animals, usually one horse usually costs 5 to 10 lakh, and if it has won in the races, then the cost will also increase. So if you administer the injection without any care, then if the horse become a limping horse, then definitely you will be sued for that thing. So you have to use properly, then sterilize the portion here, gluteal muscles or the neck muscles, and here another muscles. If the small quantity of the injections need to be given, then you can also use the pectoral muscles, and the jugular vein is the one through which the IV injection is very commonly used in case of the horses. Intravenous route, that's the only route. So there are two jugular veins. If it is not what you call as the blood is not coming, then you can use either right or left. Here the neck, in case of the subcutaneous injections, are administered on the neck area skin, and also here just above the scapula, the place is used. The next route of administration is intraperitoneal route of the administration. So here the drug is deposited into the peritoneal space, and this is not useful for the drugs those undergo hepatic first pass metabolism. The number one is intraperitoneal route or oral routes are the not recommended for the drugs for which the hepato first pass effect or hepatic first pass metabolism, which undergo the hepatic first pass metabolism. And the advantage of this route of administration is it provides a very large surface area for absorption of the drugs, and large volume of the drugs can be administered through intraperitoneal route. So the peritoneal sac is a very big sac, especially in case of the most of the animals. If you cannot locate the veins, because if the animal is dehydrated too much, then you cannot locate the veins sometimes. Then you can administer the drug through intraperitoneal. And there are certain disadvantages, like this is not suitable for administering irritating compounds or viscous compounds or thick compounds. So you cannot give the administration because in the peritoneum is one of the sensitive tissue. In case of the dogs, it is as sensitive as that of the human being dog. Whereas in case of large animals, it is not like that. Especially in case of cattle, the peritoneum is not so sensitive. So you can give the injections, but never use any irritating compounds for intraperitoneal route, and not frequently used in large animals due to infection and peritoneal adhesions. See here, especially in case of horses and other things, we should not use the subcutaneous route. Many times the subcutaneous route is used in case of the cattle, buffalo, etc., and sometimes the sheep and goat. But in case of horses, it should be avoided. And improper and faulty injection may lead to punching of intestines and other abdominal organs. Yes, whenever you are locating the peritoneal cavity, the peritoneal cavity is occupied by the visceral organs, most of the visceral organs like intestine, liver, kidney, etc. So you should not punch that particular organs, and hence sometimes most of the time, many times what happens is there is a chance that the injection may go into intestines. So you should withdraw the air from the needle and smell it sometimes. And if you have got the intestinal content smell, then you have to withdraw the needle. So before giving the intraperitoneal injection, make sure that the needle is properly positioned in the peritoneum is concerned. And the next few of the routes are like intrathecal route. It is done in the subarachnoid place. Subarachnoid place, and commonly used in case of human beings to produce spinal anesthesia. Supraspinal. This is the intrathecal. Theca internites may be, but above the spinal cord. So it is known as supraspinal injections. And the injections, another injection known as the intra-arterial injection. Here, the drug is directly administered into the artery. Suppose the adrenaline, in case of emergencies, the drug is directly administered into an artery to get very, very faster action. Of course, this requires a lot of skill. It is not an easy job to administer the drug into the artery. Or used in case of cancer chemotherapy, special radiograph, etc., where this contrast radiograph, you are taking some radiological material and injecting it. So that time, the drug should go directly into the artery, and such time, in case of cancer chemotherapy and sometimes diagnostic purpose also, the intra-arterial injections are given. Or else, in the normal course, the intra-arterial routes is not used, only in case of emergencies or also for the diagnostic purpose. And sometimes it causes pseudoaneurysm or fungal infection, because if the solution is not properly sterilized, then it causes the pseudoaneurysm, and sometimes a fatal fungal reaction may also occur. And the next route of the administration is epidural, means above the dura mater. Here, these are all the spaces. Epidural means above the dura mater. The drug is deposited in the epidural space, commonly used in case of large animals, especially the cattle, buffalo, and horses. This is a very common type of the injections. When there is a prolapse or when there is a dystocia, you can handle the animal after the epidural injection. A very common route of administration, you might have heard about the prolapse of uterus. After the parturition, in many animals due to irritation or unknown causes, the entire uterus is eversed out, means it will come out, and while putting it back into normal in its position, at that time you have to administer the epidural injection for making the hind part numb. So this epidural injection is a very common injection in case of the large animals, but in case of small animals, it is rarely used, not required. Because in case of large animals, it's very difficult to induce the general anesthesia. So that's why the local anesthesia with lignocaine hydrochloride is used. Hence, because since there is a chance that if the stomach of these large animals, especially the rumen of these large animals, cannot be made completely empty. So this makes us to, the animal may, if it is anesthetized, then what happens is the animal may regurgitate and it may go into the lungs. So that's why the general anesthesia is very rarely done in case of large animals. And another thing is large animals, especially cattle and buffaloes, do have a lot of tolerance to the pain. Pain threshold is much more very high in case of the cattle. Yeah, of course, in case of humans, the ladies do have a lot of pain threshold compared to the gentlemen. And the drug is usually epidural deposited in the epidural space. And sites in cattle and horses, first and second coccygeal vertebrae. These are all the coccygeal vertebrae 1 and coccygeal vertebrae 2. Usually the needle is hold 45-degree angle or like this, and you will get a pop-up sound then once it is inserted. This is the spinal cord, and you should never inject the drug into the spinal cord. And above the spinal cord, in the dura mater, you can inject the drug. Easily it will go, and that's known as the epidural injection. Intramedullary or intraosseous injections are it's on the one of the route of the administration where the injection is deposited directly into the marrow of the bone. So this type of injections are given whenever there is a bone cancer. In case of the human being, intraosseous injection is also known as intraosseous injection, or intraosseous injection is also another name. And this is mainly used for the blood transfusion or fluid transfusion is also one of the important route is followed.